Hello everyone, I hope your day is going just great today. Welcome to the Film Insight channel. For today's video, we're gonna get into some restaurants featured on Kitchen Nightmares and reveal if they're still open today. So, without further ado, let's get right into the content, guys! Spanish Pavilion. Opened back in 1976 by Antonio Fernandez, Spanish Pavilion was passed down to his daughter Balbina and his grandsons Michael and Jerry once he retired. With Michael scarcely showing himself in the kitchen anymore and Jerry hardly visiting the restaurant, Balbina is left with a lot on her plate. When Antonio was running the restaurant, there was always a line to get in on most days, but now it's practically empty and is $550,000 in debt. Needing any help they can get, they call over Gordon Ramsay, who really doesn't have the greatest first impressions. He's first greeted by waiters who are dressed in tuxedos, which makes Ramsay question if he was at a funeral. Following this, he orders some lobster bisque, paella, and a chicken and garlic main, which comes out tasting horrible. Worst of all, the lobster looked like it was long dead before being cooked, so Chef Ramsay requests to take a look at the tank they used. Inside was a dead and decaying lobster that the other lobsters certainly had been feeding on, which is nasty. The next morning, the Kitchen Nightmares host pokes around and investigates the kitchen a little more. Their walk-in is packed with meat, the fridge has more dead lobsters inside, and for some reason, a pigeon is flying around the kitchen. With Michael and Jerry finally back in the restaurant, Chef Ramsay reprimands them for buying so much food since it's such a waste. After teaching them how to make better dishes and giving the restaurant a makeover with new furniture and china, things were finally going in the right direction. Today, the restaurant is still open, rocking a pretty good 3.5 stars on Yelp across 177 unique reviews. Michael no longer works at the restaurant, but Jerry reports that business has surged since Ramsay filmed the show. La Galleria 33. This Italian restaurant was opened by two sisters named Rita and Lisa who were looking to emulate the success of their father's restaurant. However, they have a less than professional approach, smoking and drinking in front of customers. No matter what they've tried to increase their business, whether that be redecorating, changing their menu, or lowering prices, nothing has worked. But can you really be surprised? Upon Ramsay's arrival, he's rather confused with the name La Galleria 33, which closely resembles the name of her father's restaurant. Already unimpressed with the decor on the interior, he's even more disappointed with the fact that Rita's ex-husband Doug is the head chef and is often difficult to work with. Not expecting anything but the worst, he orders some seafood ravioli, gnocchis, meatballs, veal, and chicken marsala. If it wasn't obvious already, when the food came back, it was very clear that it was frozen. The meatballs were bland, the veal was way too overcooked, the ravioli was disgusting, and the chicken marsala was extremely sweet. With their father's restaurant being nearby, Chef Ramsay orders a server named Pat to get some dessert from there so he can compare. Their mother Lena arrives alongside Pat with a dessert that the Kitchen Nightmares host could only describe as delicious. Moving into the kitchen, he meets Doug, who's a horrible chef. He's not passionate about the things that he cooks and is careless enough to continue using chicken he dropped on the floor. Inspecting the walk-in, he finds frozen pasta, rotten onions, dead mussels, and instantly forces the staff to throw them away. After a lot of tedious arguing and correcting Doug's behavior, Chef Ramsay was finally able to introduce a solid menu that would take the restaurant to the next level. Adding in some new decor and furniture, those who came in to see the new and improved La Galleria 33 loved their experience. Following the show, the reviews for this restaurant were very mixed on Yelp, with there being both compliments and criticisms about the food and service quality. However, their standards once again deteriorated with time, and they ended up closing down in November of 2018. Meaning they were open for 6 years after Ramsay's help, which is pretty good. Classic American. Two best friends named Colleen and Naomi started out as waitresses at Classic American before finally buying it for themselves back in 2000. Making her son the chef, her boyfriend Dom was given the position of manager, which wasn't the greatest idea. Why? Well, upon Chef Ramsay's arrival, Dom reveals that before being hired by his girlfriend, he was in the building industry. Yeah, not the same at all. Sitting down with the owners, Ramsay comes to understand that they've paid $700,000 for their business and its property. Already unimpressed, the Kitchen Nightmares host takes a look at the huge menu, finally deciding to order some calamari, the bomb burger, and some mac and cheese. When he comes back, he realizes that the mac and cheese is store-bought and microwaved, the calamari was obviously frozen, and the bomb burger was chewy and lacked any seasoning. Being brutally honest as always, Ramsay tells the owners that the food he ate was absolutely horrid. This makes Colleen start to cry, who then admits that neither her or her best friend have paid themselves in over a year. Feeling too much pressure, Colleen walks out, but obviously Ramsay follows her and she breaks down. After witnessing the staff in action, he's appalled and forces them to close down the restaurant for the day. They conduct a meeting where the famous chef admits that they need to change a lot. First, he changed the interior to make it seem more modern, gave them a new computer system and enough menus for each diner. Next, he changed the menu, making it a lot smaller, including new dishes and making improvements to the existing burgers. The changes were working fairly well with the staff, and the customers seemed to be having a much better dining experience. If they kept their standards up, Ramsay expressed that they could really be successful. Today, the business is closed down sadly, but they did very well after their appearance on the show. Their sales increased by 35% in fact. It's possible that because they got pretty negative reviews near the end of the business due to burgers being improperly cooked or being soggy, they were probably losing money and had to close. The Capri Restaurant. Being regular customers who like the pizza, identical twins Jim and Jeff Thiel purchased the Capri Restaurant hoping to get a piece of the pie. However, the staff wasn't impressed with their new bosses, with one waitress named Mia calling them overgrown boys who are immature and do as little work as possible. Only opening 5 nights a week and not serving at lunch to save on wages, it's easy to say that they weren't making much money. When Chef Ramsay arrives at the restaurant, he's disappointed with the rundown exterior and the dark interior. Being greeted by Jeff, who tells him that the restaurant is normally closed during the day and only open during the evenings, Ramsay thinks he's joking. Following this odd interaction with the twins, the Kitchen Nightmares host sits down and orders a meatball sandwich, chicken scarpello, and something called colossal pizza. Though he feels disgusted with the fact that the restaurant is very dirty and the menu is practically falling apart. Coming back to their earlier conversation as he waits, Ramsay asks why they aren't open for lunch, and Jim honestly answers with the fact that they'd rather be relaxing watching TV or playing poker. How lazy. Once his server Colleen comes back with the food, she confesses to the famous chef that the restaurant hasn't been changed in years. Apparently the wallpaper is over 30 years old and it hasn't been cleaned since Jim is too lazy to do it. Upon eating the food, he could tell that the meatballs had been microwaved, the pizza was falling apart, and the chicken had been frozen for a long time. Finding his service to be a horrible and lazy experience, he forces Jim and Jeff to clean their business for once. Then he expresses that they need to open during lunchtime with the help of their waitress Colleen and Chef Darian. Finally ready to make some changes, Chef Ramsay transforms the restaurant, giving it one of the biggest makeovers in Kitchen Nightmares history and an improved menu. Finally, 8 months later after the show aired, the business sales grew by 20% and they received mostly positive reviews, even winning Best Pizza in Eagle Rock. Though since the owners suffered health issues and had declining sales, they closed down in September of 2019. Mama Rita's. For this episode, Chef Ramsay pays a visit to Mama Rita's, located all the way in Newbury Park, California. Being a Mexican restaurant, it was opened in 2008 by a woman named Laura who named it after her grandma Rita. Already having success in the catering business, she thought that she would be able to thrive in running a restaurant as well. However, she was sorely mistaken. Being $2.2 million in debt and close to losing her house if things didn't improve, she needed the help of Chef Ramsay. In this rare case, when Ramsay arrives, he says that the restaurant is stunning and begins to discuss things with Laura. He wants to know about her background, her experience in the food industry, and her specialty dishes. Then he's greeted by a server named Brad who advises them what not to order. With his guidance, he decides on getting tamales, chimichanga, and a burrito. When they came back, the tamales were comparable to wet newspapers, the chimichanga was definitely microwaved, and the steak burrito tasted like wet cardboard. Following this, so he can assess their skills, he orders their chef Perla and Laura as well to make a new dish that he created with fresh ingredients only. Sadly, Perla's dish was really bland and lacked creativity compared to the owner Laura's cooking. Ramsay seriously considers getting Laura to fire Perla since she not only lacks the skill but is pretty useless. Although after some discussion, it was revealed that Laura doesn't want to lose Perla. Not being able to set her personal investments aside, this was another mistake. Even with Ramsay's help, Laura ended up reversing the new menu she was supposed to follow, which unsurprisingly resulted in a lot of negative reviews. Today, the restaurant is closed down and we're not surprised. Well, that will be all for today's video here on the channel. I really do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to drop a massive like down below and comment your thoughts. Subscribe for more content like this and put on those sweet bell notifications for instant access to our content. Have a good one, guys.